Beihurayang frantically spoke when the light poured down. Hey, wait. If only the 1010 are summoned, wouldn't Grandpops Marcus be there? What are you going to do when he sees you and tries to get you?
Nah.
You worry too much. It's okay. The worst I can do is die, right? Kim zombie you. Beihurayang's lips twitched like he was about to nag about me. Sheesh. I quickly added on. It's okay, because I have plans. Don't you know? I'm Kim Gongja. The weak ass that the Sword Emperor acknowledged. Trust me. You have plans? Of course. I have definite plans. I'll show you them soon. Ahem. He crossed his arms with a doubtful look. But it was already too late. The summoning had been started, and the white night completely covered us. The only thing we could do was meet Sword Saint. I closed my eyes and... The transmission is complete. When I opened my eyes, I was already on the 12th floor. It was completely different from the 11th floor. Like the exact opposite. If the 11th floor was a dirty and intense battlefield, the 12th floor was an extravagant palace. It was the imperial palace of the Ejim Empire. No. I looked around. Since the politics in the palace are as dirty and intense. In the reception room, other high challengers were summoned. There were people I saw for the first time, but most of them were hunters I met already, like Witch and Count. Of course. They weren't the leaders of the large guilds for nothing. I met the eyes of the other hunters. Oh. All of their reactions were different. There were some hunters who were smiling brightly at me like they knew I would be here, and there were some with grimaces like they never would have expected me here. Hunter Kim Gongja. You were amazing. The heretic questioner was the former. I saw what you did on the 11th floor. To use the NPCs that way. I was touched. He ran over to me. Because he was so short, he seemed like a tiny puppy. Is the sword on your waist a special item? The NPCs seemed to follow you right away after seeing you had this sword. Did you get this as a reward for clearing the 10th floor? Well. I guess. As expected. He was all smiles looking up at me. You used the 10th floor reward to clear the 11th floor. Your application skills are amazing. No, well. Not that. From now, a lot of hunters will be jealous of you. They might even treat you as a lucky parvenu. Ignore them. It's all thanks to your skills. What was this person? An angel? Beihurayang shouted. It was different from his usual teasing tone. He was frantic. Be careful. Behind you. Then. Before Beihurayang could finish, everything ended. The first person to react was the heretic questioner in front of me. His jolly eyes were gone, and they were replaced with narrowed ones. He pulled my wrist back. I toppled over, not being able to catch my balance. One step. The heretic questioner pulled me back and stepped up instead. Holy technique, inner god. He quietly muttered to himself. Then the sound of iron crashing against something else rang out. It was simple iron. It was an attack with clear murderous intent.
Ha!
The heretic questioner laughed. His eyes weren't laughing. That's surprising, Sword Saint. When did you become an assassin? Move. An old man dressed in a suit. Sword Saint spoke coldly. His sword was raised at us. No. Never mind. I'm going to kill that guy. It wasn't raised at us, but at me. Silence descended on the reception room. Like there was electricity in the air, my body felt sparked. Only heretic questioner spoke in an attitude that wasn't much different than before. Excuse me. But by that guy, are you talking about Kim Gongja Hunter? Of course. Sword Saint replied. If you don't move from there, one of your arms will be cut off as well. The heretic questioner had a beaming smile. That's a bit difficult. I can't move for you. Hunter Kim Gongja has received the acknowledgement of the 5 large guilds, including the 10,000 temple. If I let him die, the reputation of the 5 large guilds will be hurt. You want to lose an arm, I see. Youngster. That's a bit difficult as well. My arms are still useful to me. The heretic questioner tilted his head, still smiling. Can you tell me why you're targeting Hunter Kim Gongja? I don't have to tell you. Are you saying you won't give him up? Move and stop the nonsense. Sword Saint firmly refused.
Yeah.
In his eyes, I was a slaughterer who killed over 4,000 people. Since he didn't know my skill, he would react like that. I'll say it again, but I'm going to kill that guy. Then you've left me with no choice. The heretic questioner gathered his hands. I'll control you here. Holy technique, transmission god. Suddenly, light exploded behind Sword Saint. 2 hunters appeared from the tight. Chenmu Master Venomous Snake. Civil Melita's Vice Guild Leader Crusader. The 2 hunters shouted. Both of their weapons were pointed at the Sword Saint.
Ha!
Sword Saint furrowed his eyebrows. These pricks. He clicked his tongue. During the span of 1 click, he swung his sword once. His blue aura split the air and spilt blood. 2 slashes. With just 2 attacks, the Crusader's cheek was hurt. The venomous snake's arm was bleeding. This monstrous geezer. It happened in an instant. What does that oldie eat to be that energetic? Please, age. Retire. Because of you, young people can't move up. Venomous Snake gritted his teeth and shouted. Sword Saint lightly snorted. Aren't you over 40 now? Looking at the real young ones, you're also old. Funny. 40s are still young. That's when you're real life baggy. Chenmu Master. You are old. You are almost blind. That damned zealot is on my side, right? Sigh. Crusader sighed. Focus on the opponent at hand. We're at a disadvantage. Even while sighing, Crusader didn't let down her guard. No, she seemed even more nervous. The heretic questioner, Venomous Snake, and Crusader. The highest 3 hunters were fighting together, but the Sword Saint was still gang. We're definitely at a disadvantage like this. Did the heretic questioner feel it too? He smiled brightly and requested for help. Count. What? Please give me some money. How much? Thankfully the Sword Saint hasn't lost his mind yet. It'll be enough to control him for some time. 10,000 gold please. 15% interest. Count unfolded her fan while quietly watching the fight. 3 months' time. Is this good? You've misunderstood me. I didn't ask to borrow money. I said to give me money. Huh. Are you asking a merchant to donate? Yes. That's it. Isn't it money you got from dirty deeds anyway? I'll use it a good place, so repent at the temple and go to heaven. You're a worse thief than me. Count shook her head and pulled something out. It was a pouch with a snail pattern on it. Count untied the gold string at its entrance. Withdraw, 10,000 gold. The pouch opened its mouth. A bunch of coins fell out. The pouch itself was probably a rare item. As gold coins formed a small mountain, Count took her pouch back. There. Take it, priest. It's exactly 10,000 gold. I'll take it well. The heretic questioner smiled exuberantly and gathered his two hands. Holy technique, devotion. The gold on the floor emitted a light. A golden light filled the reception room. I in the middle of it, heretic questioner muttered, moving his hands rapidly. Holy transfer, physique strengthening. Receiver, crusader and venomous snake. Time, 300 times. Gold will grab our hands. Technique complete. Humph. And something strange happened. All the gold on the floor disappeared like it had never been there. Instead, the light from the coins landed on the crusader and the venomous snake. It was like aura. The heretic questioner spread his arms apart, saying, "Here we go." For 300 seconds, Crusader and Chenmu Master will become noticeably different. Sword Saint. Even if you're strong, you can't bear the attack of the four of us. Me, Count, Crusader, and Chenmu Master. And the Count's treasury isn't empty. I don't know if it ever will. If you want to test whether the Count will become bankrupt first, or if your neck will be cut off first, go ahead. Count pouted from far away. Why are you pulling my treasury into this test? I just donated because that zealot told me to. Phew. Being a merchant is hard both inside and outside the tower. And if I added something to that? A cold voice spoke. It was the witch. The rank 2 hunter broke her silence. She looked at Sword Saint with an expressionless face. It won't end with the 4. I'll show my intent to participate in the fight right now. Because Hunter Kim Gongja has made a deal with the 5 large guilds. Sword Saint frowned. A deal?
Yeah.
A deal. The witch nodded. Hunter Kim Gongja isn't bound to a single place but applied to all 5 large guilds. In return, we promise to treat him as an equal. Sword Saint. If you pull your sword towards Kim Gongja, that means you're attacking all of us. Of course, by US, I'm talking about the 5 large guilds. She pulled out some mirrors. Black Dragon. Sangrian. 10,000 Temple. Chenmu Mun. Civil Militia. The mirrors floated up by themselves. And they started to spin around. 1, 2, 3. In total, the 6 mirrors spun around the witch like they were hunting dogs protecting her. Can you really deal with all of us, Sword Saint? Swish. The 5 hunters all pulled out their weapons towards Sword Saint. The old sword wielder was quiet. Yes. Even if the Sword Saint is freakishly strong. In this moment. He's not strong enough to have all of the 5 large clans as his enemies. This was why I made a deal with the guild masters. A day when I was stronger than Sword Saint could come. No, it would. But it wasn't today or tomorrow. So until that day came, I had to have a safety net. I inwardly smiled. Do you remember what I said on the 11th floor? What? That there are 2 ways to deal with a powerful opponent. Be a one-man army strong enough to chew your enemy up. Or, make my own army and fight back. The Sword Saint is nothing more than a solo player. But I was different. I already have allies. So if Sword Saint and I fought, it would be my victory. See? This is my plan. Go ahead, be odd. Tisk tsk. What a weak ass. Bei Hurayong sighed. But his face didn't look too bad. He seemed pretty satisfied that I came up to the 12th floor with a strategy. That ghost, although he didn't show it, worried about a lot of things. I took a step forward. Sword Saint Nim. The hunters all looked at me. And Sword Saint was amongst them. I smiled on purpose to seem relaxed. And I looked Sword Saint in the eye. Can we talk? Listen well. Because Sir Gongja is speaking. Talk? Yes. To be honest, I'm a bit taken aback right now. On the stage of the 12th floor, the palace, we were in the reception room. My voice rang out in the middle of it. I don't know why you're attacking me. You may be seeing me for the first time, but I used to admire your sword technique. Since you're raising your sword to me like that, it's really awkward for me. Sword Saint's face stiffened. Even though I was telling the truth. I guess he would be like that. There was a reason his face hardened like that. The first day he met me, the day that he didn't remember, Sword Saint had said this. Did you think I wouldn't know you were an assassin sent from Black Dragon? I don't know if the witch sent you, but I'll do my best to kill you. He thought I was an assassin. And an assassin from the Black Dragon at that. He was probably thinking the same thing right now. That I was an assassin employed by Black Dragon who killed many innocent lives. No, he might be even more sure of himself now. Or a special assassin from the 5 large guilds. Right. Bei Hurayong nodded his head. From another's perspective, you're really weird. Exactly. The appearance of a new hero when no one was expecting it. An E-class hunter had cleared the unclearable stage. And as soon as he did, he made a deal with the 5 large guilds and was promised to be treated the same way as the guild masters. It's too strange. Right. From what Grandpops Marcus sees, you're not a hunter who worked hard to get there. You're a fake hero that the large guilds set up. TSK. Bei Hurayong scat his tongue. Zombie. How many was your kill count at? 4,090? It's probably at 4,093 now. Right. The 4093 Grandpops Marcus sees is just the number of people you've killed. Because you're not a hunter that moves alone, but a hunter that was created by the large guilds. That was the only result that the Sword Saint could come to. Yes. The same bunch. He probably thinks of it as a number that I killed on orders from the large guilds. The large guilds that ruled the tower. That they had killed 4,093 humans. It was a misunderstanding, but to him, it was probably a dirty sight.
Ha!
If he was less of a just geezer, he would have stepped back here. Babylon is no different from the outer world. But the Sword Saint didn't know how to step back. Even if he did, he denied it. After I entered the tower, you begged of me every day to apply in a guild. But I refused. Do you know that? Sword Saint gripped his sword even more. His hands were old. Skin sagged. But the veins that popped out weren't old at all. A lion's teeth weren't less sharp because of age. I wanted to show that in this tower. That in this new world, you could rule at the top alone. The Sword Saint looked around him with violent eyes. Family, country, where you're from. Unlike the outer world, you can survive by yourself with a sword in this palace. If you work hard, you can succeed. To show that hope to people, I didn't join a guild until now. But what have you guys done? He lifted his blade. You're no different from the rotten water riddled with dirt. The guild masters squirmed. Rage. Humiliation. Hate. Emotions swirled in their eyes. What the Sword Saint just said was an announcement for war. There were some who just smiled like it was nothing, like the heretic questioner, but most of the guild masters' faces didn't look too good. Sword Saint. I don't know about others, but you. Ha. You forgot about how you just skipped out when we were subjugating the 5th floor? Seems like you forgot because of Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Mr. Callenberry. If you used your connections from the outer world, we would have more food, and sangrian. They all shouted. All the hunters here had known each other from the beginning of the tower. Was it because they had a lot of held-back emotions towards each other? As emotion clashed against emotion, the atmosphere in the reception room soon became dark. If you're a rank 1, you should have shown the attitude appropriate of it. But you were all good yourself. You lived by yourself. Do you know how many hunters we could have saved if you didn't act so arrogant? The Witch of Black Dragon spoke like she was cursing him. It's not just the 5th floor. If you helped us on the 7th and 9th floor, we would have suffered half the damage. The venomous snake of Chenmu Mun showed murderous intent. Someone who was from a rich family in the outside world. If you helped a bit, the tower would have been more settled. We're rotten water? Fine. Then you're a kid that doesn't have any responsibility. Count glared at him. It was a mess. Even with the curses and murderous gazes of the guild masters, Sword Saint just grimaced. Every time he spoke, he made it worse. Be quiet. What are you adults blabbering on about? Do you think I'm your grandfather? Put it away. If you're gonna attack, attack with the sword. The reception room became uncontrollably violent. Dang. As expected of grandpops. Definitely my one and only disciple. Bei Hurayong could read the mood and just exclaimed in astonishment. There's nothing more disgusting than players talking about connections or politics. If you have time to worry about that, you should fight with your sword instead. What he said made sense. But I had a regretful heart. Even in a place with just 10 people, you fight. The hunters all looked at me. I sighed. Even the NPCs of the 11th floor fought to protect their empire. But look. Hunters like us are just pointing fingers at each other saying whose fault it is. Isn't it embarrassing to be worse than NPCSs? Hunter Kim Gongja. The witch spoke. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It's worse than what you. I know. I get it, but there's something that we should do if we're hunters. I looked around the reception room. Let's focus on clearing the 12th floor first. It's good to give hope to people, and respectable to decrease damage, it's all good. But please work at clearing the stage that's in front of you. I especially looked at Sword Saint. They're just NPCs, but their empire is in danger. They want help. If we were summoned as warriors and just fight with words amongst ourselves, how pathetic is that? I was being genuine. Sword Saint couldn't threaten my life here anyway. Since the gap in power was too clear. Then my only focus was clearing the 12th floor. I wasn't interested in their politics or their emotional qualms. What's a warrior? Helping others solve what they can't. Since we cleared the 11th floor, let's solve the other stages as well. Kim Gongja is right. Thankfully, there was a hunter who agreed. Crusader. The Civil Melita's vice guild leader stepped up. I don't understand why Sword Saint attacked Kim Gongja. But this isn't the time for use to fight. That one thing is clear. You're all too tense right now. Crusader stepped to the center. But no one let their guards down. Sword Saint, Venomous Snake, Count, and Heretic Questioner were still ready to attack if needed. They were too distrustful of each other to convince each other with words. Because of the emotions that were held back for a long amount of time. Sigh. Realizing that, Crusader sighed. Fine. I'll sacrifice a little. At the word sacrifice, the hunters looked back. Crusader murmured to herself at the center of attention. Skill card open. Whoosh. Light soared up from Crusader's hand. A moment later, a silver card appeared. It was a card that no one else could see unless the hunter allowed them to. It was the skill card of Crusader. Vice Guild Leader. The witch seemed worried about the Crusader. The high rankers didn't reveal their skill cards towards others. It was the secret weapon of a hunter. Showing it to others was like revealing your weakness. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Then Crusader flipped the card over. Look closely. Lie detection. Rank. Effects, you can tell whether someone is lying or not. It applies to not only people, but NPCs and monsters. But what they think of as truth may actually be false. Trust. Doubt. It all lies in your hands. However, you cannot guarantee that others will believe what you say as the truth. My eyes widened. Lie detection. It was the skill that the Flame Emperor lied about having. So. Crusader had it, and not Flame Emperor. It fits the Vice Guild Master of the Civil Master perfectly. The Civil Militia was a guild that maintained order. Crimes were rampant in the tower. Like this. The Flame Emperor or Sword Saint killed people where others couldn't see. It was this kind of world. Lie detection could be used in telling criminals apart. As you can see. The Crusader spoke with the card in hand. I have the ability to tell whether someone is lying. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say this is the skill that got me to where I am. Sword Saint. What? If you trust me, ask anything you want to Kim Gongja. I'll tell you whether he's telling the truth or not. The Crusader looked at me and Sword Saint with apathetic eyes. Kim Gongja. Same goes for me. If you believe me, I can guarantee whether what you're saying is the truth. Doubt is poison that swallows humans up, and truth is the most powerful antidote. You can't regain the lost trust, but with this, we'll be able to work together on the 12th floor. The Sword Saint was deep in thought, rubbing his beard. Wow. And I thought to myself. It's lit. This was the best opportunity. It was luck that I didn't expect to come my way. But, this was right. The reason why the Sword Saint was suspicious of me was because of his skill. Since a skill had made him suspicious, a skill could be used to resolve it. I'm fine with that. I answered immediately. It would be advantageous to the person who accepted it first. Crusader. You're the only person who hasn't hurt anyone here. Fine. I'll believe you as well. The Sword Saint spoke mysterious words and accepted it. Crusader nodded. Then I'll take it that both of you agree. Sword Saint. Ask what you want to Kim Gongja. I'll put my honor on the line and fairly judge your answers. Sword Saint glared at me. His face was ready, like he had been waiting for this moment. Was it because he wanted to prove how bad I was? His eyes were full of victory. No. Bei Hurayong spoke up next to me.
No.
Grandpops Marcus. You boomer. This is why I said not to rely too much on your skill. One who lives by skills dies by it.
No.
No. Please be quiet. Unfortunately, Grandpops Marcus couldn't hear Bei Hurayong's voice. This ghost bastard was my ghost bastard. Hunter Kim Gongja. Yes. You killed over 4,000 people. Isn't that true? Swish. He pointed at me with his free hand. What was I supposed to say? He sounded like he was saying, "How do you like it now? Your bad deeds have been revealed to the world." I smiled. Yes. See? You bastards. I'll report to the world what kind of things you did using this assassin. False. The Crusader spoke. What? Not true. The Crusader spoke indifferently again. Didn't he say yes to your question? That answer was false. So to organize things, Kim Gongja didn't kill over 4,000 people. Do you have any more questions? Silence. While the Sword Saint shut his mouth, Crusader tilted her head. But 4,000? Is it possible for one person to kill that many people? I think that's almost impossible. That, you used this youngest as a special assassin. I brightly smiled. You're right. I'm a special assassin. Not true. Sword Saint dropped his mouth open. See, Crusader. I saw you wrong. I thought you wouldn't lie. If you'll believe me or not, is up to you. Crusader replied calmly. That's why I asked if you would believe me at the beginning. If you change what you're saying now, it's a bit pathetic. No, it's really pathetic. Sword Saint. It's unlike how I thought of you. Wait. The Sword Saint frantically looked at me. But there's no way you didn't kill anyone. Yes. That's right. I did get rid of someone once. Crusader nodded. It's the truth. See? But it's just one person. What? Crusader nodded again. It's true. Of course, just because I killed one person doesn't change the fact that I'm a murderer. But Sword Saint Nim. Even though I can't be clean, I can tell you this. That bastard really deserved to die. Because he tried to kill me first. It's the truth. No, he would have been a gentleman if he just tried to kill me. He massacres people. Massacres. I saw him kill someone, but dang, he didn't even blink an eye as he burned someone to death. That fucking bastard. It's the truth. Although I don't know for sure, he probably killed tens, no hundreds of people. Yes. He's definitely someone to do that. I killed someone like that. Curse me as a murderer if you want to. But did you know? Even if I go back to the past, I'll get rid of him. Dang. Shit. I don't know how someone can be as evil as him. Crusader nodded her head. It's all true. Sword Saint was silent. He slowly looked around him. He didn't understand the situation, but now, he probably did after looking around. Because the guild masters were all looking at him like, what are you doing? Heretic questioner burst out laughing. Kim Gongja, the special assassin of the 5 large guilds. How funny. It would be nice if that was true, but Sword Saint. We met Kim Gongja for the first time yesterday. That's also true, by the way. The Sword Saint's silence was deeper. Tisk tsk tsk tsk. One who lives by skills, dies by them. Bei Hurayong continued to click his tongue next to me. Well, I've answered everything. I smiled. What Sir Gongja said really was all correct. It seems like there was a misunderstanding. It's a good thing that was it. But Sword Saint. If I was really... I think a word of apology is appropriate here. What do you say? Crusader nodded her head. It's the perfect truth. With any lie. Quickly apologize to Kim Gongja. Sword Saint. The geezer paled. I. Sword Saint spoke after a considerable amount of time had passed. The hunters were looking at Sword Saint. His lips were dry. To Kim Gongja. Sword Saint could say a lot of things here. He could just not believe Crusader. He didn't have any reason to. Even though Crusader was famed for being just and righteous, she was in the 5 large guilds. Why did he have to trust her? You're all trying to trick me. Could be what Sword Saint said. Or, he could reveal his own skill card. The power that showed an opponent's kill count. But it wasn't wise to show others your skill. However, it was still enough. I didn't suspect Kim Gongja because I'm a boomer. It's all because of my skill. What can I do when this is what my skill says? Isn't it obvious that someone should trust their skill before they trust a person first? It was natural for people to excuse themselves. Or there are psychopaths that just kill others like the Flame Emperor. Distrust. Excuses. Shutting their mouths. The Flame Emperor proved that he was a psychopath by choosing the method of shutting someone's mouth, and Sword Saint would show what kind of person he was from this. Sword Saint wet his lips. And he decided. Did you say your name was Kim Gongja? Yes. If you didn't kill innocent people like I thought, no. That's not it. Sword Saint shook his head while he was speaking. Cashing. As he pulled his sword back in, sighs of relief could be heard in the reception room. The hunters around Sword Saint looked less nervous. Among them, Sword Saint tightened his necktie. I'll speak again. He bowed his head. I'm sincerely sorry. The old man was apologizing. I was wrong. I misunderstood, so I almost killed someone. I always thought that I should kill anyone I judged deserving to be killed. I killed by my beliefs. He bent his head even more. But from now, that won't happen again. His low voice rumbled in the reception room. Just apologizing with words is useless. If you want anything, I'll try to uphold it. It would be nice if I could say that, but... Self-deprecation was mixed in his voice. Please don't ask for my life. I ask you. I still want to live. I want to see the top of this tower. I made a big mistake, and almost killed you. But please forgive this old man and let him live. The palace's reception room became quiet. The old man could have made a different choice. He could have not touristed the Crusader, or excused himself with his skill. But he didn't. Instead, he acknowledged that he might be wrong. The Crusader glanced at me. Our eyes met. She nodded her head silently. We didn't speak, but I knew what the Crusader was saying. It's the truth. Everything he said was true. His apology, and his promise not to kill people based on his skill. Not only that, but the fact that he didn't want to die. That he wanted to live more. To forgive him. That boomer. Bei Hurayong muttered. But he didn't say anything more. He just looked at the old man who was once his disciple with eyes mixed with regret. Was he trying to say he could leave it up to me whether or not I should forget Sword Saint / After hearing his silence, I decided. Sword Saint Nim. Go ahead. Teach me the sword. Sword Saint lifted his bent head to look at me. Teach, please accept my sparring request if I ever ask. I did get a teacher, but I don't have a sparring partner. If you do it, that would be nice. And I had promised Bei Hurayong on the 11th floor as well. That before I cleared the 20th floor, I would officially start to train. It would be appropriate if I had Sword Saint as my sparring partner. I would gain growth and benefits for myself. No. That wasn't it. That wasn't how I wanted that to come out. I shook my head. Sorry. Allow me to rephrase. To be honest, I can just forgive you. But I opened my mouth. It's a bit embarrassing. I seem like a nicer person than you. I'm not that amazing a person. I'm just happy that I won't be an enemy to a strong hunter like you. But it seems a bit embarrassing to forgive you like nothing happened when we all lifted our blades. And it's embarrassing to pretend to be nice as well. I just don't like it. So teach me something that's most useful out of what you have. A sword technique. For some reason, I was embarrassed. No, my cheek was twitching. Then I won't be embarrassed, and your reputation won't be hurt. Shit. To think that it was this embarrassing to speak your mind. Gosh. Sword Saint had asked to forgive him since his life was special to him, right? He looked pretty prideful. He was amazing. Dope. Could you really ask something sincerely to forgive you? Beg? I could never. Ever. I'd rather die. Goodness. Crusader muttered. Surprisingly, it's all true. Silence descended on the reception room again. It was heavy. It was the same silence as before, but it felt completely different. Dot. The venomous snake spoke first. Really? You can ask anything of Sword Saint, but it's embarrassing to act arrogant. So you want him to be just your sparring partner? It's hard to believe, but it's true according to my skill at least. What the heck? Is that newbie some kind of gift set? Shut up before I cook you into snake soup. How fresh. The witch spoke incredulously. How should I say this? After seeing children who do anything to get more, it's been a while since I saw a hunter like Kim Gongja. I guess they were still living. They were dead. Very. Specifically, over 4,000 times. Good?
Aw.
For some reason, Heretic Questioner was tearing up. Someone who sincerely forgives and someone who is sincerely apologizing. How beautiful. Indeed. Humans endlessly fight. However, that is the reason why they can endlessly forgive. What a holy miracle this is. Everyone. I dash. Shut the fuck up. Yes, sir. At a word from the venomous snake, the Heretic Questioner really shut up. It was a surprising miracle. Excuse me. It's nice to see that it ended nicely. Does this mean that my 10,000 gold was wasted? No one listened to her. I sighed. I was craving some soju right now. Anyways. Sword Saint Nim. I don't need to train sword techniques now. You can help me when I ask. Please be my sparring partner. Sword Saint was quiet for a moment. He just stared at my face. Then, he slowly opened his mouth. His mustache and his lips were shaking. I can't believe I misunderstood such a kind youngster. Oh. You wanted me to teach you the sword. You said you wanted me to be your sparring partner? Of course, of course. I'll be your sparring partner. He grasped my hand. Excuse me. Sword Saint Nim? Call me Grandpa Marcus. Sorry? How old is our Gongja? I think you're not over 30 yet. In the outside world, I left a very kind granddaughter outside. She's extremely kind. If she enters the tower as well, I'll appeal for your charm. No. It's really okay. I wasn't interested in dating. My hand hurt more than anything. My hand. His power was extremely powerful, as fitting of rank 1. What? You're not interested in my granddaughter? Yes. Sorry, it's not just your granddaughter, but I don't have interest in dating it, see? Oh ho. That's not good. His grip on my hand leveled up. Youngsters should feel the love. You don't have to marry. But dating is necessary. If you start dating, you see things that you didn't before, and you learn new things. Yup. And you learn how pathetic you can become. Oh. I see. How important is it to know how pathetic you can become? I'll tell you my case. When I was 16, I used to laugh at the world. But I met her, who was the same age as me. This old man suddenly became extremely annoying. His face was too close as well. I could see the pores on his nose, and even the blackheads. It was honestly burdensome. I hoped he would get off of me quickly. I said he was a boomer. Bei Hurayong clicked his tongue. Whether you say it nicely or rudely, he's a boomer. Do you know what a boomer is? Someone who doesn't listen to others. Grandpops Marcus doesn't listen to others. Nicely said, it means he's got a backbone. Or it means that his backbone is so stuck up that he's gotta stick up his you-know-what. I didn't know. I didn't even want to know. Anyways, don't worry. Youngster Gongja. From now on, I'll take care of you well. Do you want an allowance? I stacked up so much money in Sangryun's safe that I don't even know where to use it. I can earn my own money. And an allowance? I'm an adult now too. Looking at your clothes, it's too casual. Ahem. A person's outfit should be neat for their mind to be clear. I know a good tailor. How about a suit? What? I should have been happy to be liked by the rank 1. But I wasn't. Rather, I was extremely embarrassed. It felt like I was listening to my actual grandfather brag about me. Why was I feeling embarrassed? What should I do? Should I just kill myself and start the day over? Crazy bastard. It was then. Welcome, Hunter Kim Gongja. You have cleared the 11th floor as the rank 1. A voice rang in my head. Like it had been waiting for the fight to end. 3. I automatically looked around me. Most people were sighing in relief. They looked relieved that the Sword Saint had stopped fighting. It seemed like no one had heard the voice. I'm first. I smiled. I don't know why, but the information about the subjugation on the 12th floor to the 20th floor was extremely limited. Was it because the media was blocked? There wasn't any information about the specifics. Before I regressed 4,000 times, unlike the other floors, information of the 12th to the 20th floor wasn't that well known. Like the large guilds had tried to hide the information on purpose. The 11th floor clear reward is being given. I was able to see the reason why soon enough. The goddess of protection is suggesting a reward to you. The devil king of fall rain is suggesting a reward to you. Choose between the two rewards. I blinked my eyes. Pick a reward? I heard a voice that I hadn't heard on the stage before. As if responding to my surprised reaction, a selection window popped up in front of me. Goddess of Protection. Summary: the goddess who protects the Ejim Empire is touched at your dedication. The goddess has decided to appoint you to an important position. You can be the Chancellor, Supreme General, or the Grand Master. If you choose a position, you will also receive the powers that come along with it. Warrior of the Goddess. Work with your fellow warriors and destroy the core of the Devil King on the 20th floor. However, if you choose the Devil King's reward, you cannot choose the goddess's reward. I slowly read the reward, nodding my head. It's the same as I know already. Role-playing. Hunters would become members of the Ejim Empire. Some could be the Chancellor, and others could be the Grand Masters. It wasn't just a position. You would receive the authority and abilities that came with it. The special classes you can choose on the 12th floor are being marked. And rewards were given to the hunters that were ranked higher. The authority to choose before others first. Chancellor of Ejim Empire. Supreme General of Ejim Empire. Director of Financial Affairs of Ejim Empire. Director of Foreign Affairs of Ejim Empire. Grand Master of Ejim Empire. Head Bodyguard of Ejim Empire. Fancy positions were lined up. Dang! I exclaimed to myself. I was only able to choose a role like Bodyguard A before. Even before I regressed, I climbed to the 12th floor. But in completely different circumstances. The higher rankers had taken all the good positions for themselves. But how was the situation now? The stage rewards are really good, I guess. I was able to pick from the Chancellor and the Supreme General. But what's the reward of the Devil King? I lifted my head. Information that I was seeing for the first time was on there. Devil King of Fall Rain. Summary: the Devil King is impressed by you. The Devil King suggests a secret alliance. The same things that the goddess offered, along with another present. Kill the other top 10 rankers. If you do, you will be able to use the authority of the Devil King and go straight to the 99th floor. However, only one from the top 10 can receive this reward. If the majority do not choose this reward, it is chosen randomly. If no one chooses, the offer disappears. I was left speechless. When I reacted a moment later, two voices overlapped in my head. What? Huh? It was Bei Hurayong and me. We blinked and read the reward of the Devil King again. But it was still the same. Kill the other top 10 rankers. If you do, you will be able to use the authority of the Devil King and go straight to the 99th floor. It definitely said that. I looked around. Sword Saint. Witch. Heretic Questioner. Count. Venomous Snake. And Crusader. They were all accomplished rankers. If I kill all these people, I can go straight to the 99th floor? I swallowed. For the last time, a voice rang in my head. Hunter Kim Gongja. Choose from the two rewards. We were silent. It was a silence between just Bei Hurayong and me. The reward of the Devil King. The 99th floor. I read the rewards of the Devil King again and again. The words that I could be sent straight to the 99th floor spun around my head. It's a trap. Bei Hurayong cut my thoughts off like he read my thoughts. It's definitely a trap. Zombie. Don't fall for it. I know. Of course it's a trap. I murmured inside my head. It was obvious the reward was a trap. Because There's no way the Flame Plague wouldn't have chosen the Devil King's reward otherwise. Since he was the psychopath of the century, he would have definitely chosen the Devil King's reward. Since he doesn't care about whether another player dies or not. But he was on the 40th floor and not the 99th floor. So that means... I tried to calmly think things through. The reward of the Devil King is a trap. The Flame Plague probably chose the Devil King's reward and regressed after figuring out it was a trap. I don't know exactly what trap it is, but... To be honest, I want it. My heart pumped. This is a chance to get a skill of the 99th floor boss monster. I was different from...
Yo! So? Ha!
I didn't have to defeat the boss monster. I would benefit if I was just killed by it. He'll be the strongest boss monster other than the 100th floor. It would be a lie if I wasn't tempted. The 99th floor. How long would it take for me to get to the 99th floor using normal means? 1 year? 5? 10? It might even take longer. Since even the psychopath Flame Emperor was only on the 40th floor after 10 years. But all of that. At once. Gongja. Bei Hurayong stared at me. Don't. It was a voice I had never heard before. He was seriously looking at my face. Look at me. I'm the Sword Emperor. I went to the 99th floor by myself and failed. I'm telling you, this is a trap. A horrible trap. It's too hard for you to kill the top 10 rank players with your skills. Even if you kill them all, you can't climb over the wall of the 99th floor. Give up. I was silent. Was it because he was the only person to reach the 99th floor in this tower? He seemed credible. Is the 99th floor boss monster that strong? Bei Hurayong frowned. There's none. What? There's no boss monster on the 99th floor. There's something that's worse, bleh. I suddenly thought of the past. Anyways, this is a trap. He sat with his back to me. He was like a little kid didn't get his candy. I was a bit flustered. Wait, just what's on the 99th floor? You're scaring me. I've never seen you like this before. Is it something like a devil god if it's not a monster? Humph. I'm not telling you. I said that wrong. He wasn't like a kid, he was a kid. I don't want to acknowledge it, but you're doing pretty well, Kim Zombie. Just keep on doing as you are. Then you can clear the 99th floor. I was deep in thought. I rubbed my sword that was in its sheath. It was the sword that killed me over 4,000 times. It was the sword that I used to kill.
Yo! So? Ha!
It was nothing more than a cheap sword, but touching it comforted me. All right. I came to my decision. I'll throw away this regression. His ears twitched. Throw it away? Yes. I'm going to pick the most safe route for me. Ignoring all things like rewards and benefits. I'm going to see how everything turns out first. Ignoring rewards and benefits, huh? Are you going to reject the reward of the goddess, too? Why? You don't have to go that far. It's okay. I'm taking a step back so I can run forward. You had to take the longer route the most rushed you were. I slowly opened my mouth. Everyone. All the hunters in the reception room looked at me. The rewards of the 11th floor just popped up for me. Really? That's nice. The witch reacted first. Was it because she hadn't seen the reward of the goddess and the reward of the devil king yet? Her face was as indifferent as ever. I was starting to get bored wondering how long we would have to wait for the quest. If you pick the reward first, we can pick according to our ranks after. Choose slowly. Yes, ma'am. I've already decided. I announced in front of all the high rankings rankers. I didn't choose any reward. The reception room was silent. Heretic Questioner and Venomous Snake, who were playing cards off to the side, turned to look at me as well. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. 1 second. After a silence, the witch wrinkled her forehead. What? But it was too late. You have not chosen a stage reward. You cannot choose the special class. If you give up the reward, you can only choose the roles after the 13th floor. Are you really choosing this? I answered firmly. Yes, I, Kim Gongja, will not choose any reward. The selection window in front of me crumbled to pieces. It wasn't just that. A holy voice and a dark voice rang in my head. The goddess of protection is questioning your decision. The devil king of fall rain laughs darkly. The hunters all looked disbelieving. Kim Gongja? What did you just? Then, Sword Saint wrinkled his forehead. His old eyes scanned midair. After me, rank 1, Sword Saint was rank 2. He was looking at the rewards now. I understand. You chose the safest option. Sword Saint looked at me. But isn't there no need to give up the reward? Youngster. This may be an old man's foolish concern, but I don't think you need to give up like that for your safety. Thank you for your concern. However, I don't regret it. It's a relief if you don't regret it, but... He trailed off. The other hunters looked at us confusedly. They looked like they didn't understand what we were talking about. No. He shook his head. Just giving up the reward is too mild. Sorry, youngster. I'll choose the goddess's reward. And choose the Grand Master of Ejim Empire. Creak. It was the moment Sword Saint made his decision. The reception room door opened. A bunch of knights walked out. They were wearing fancy shining armor, and they kneeled in front of the old man, pledging allegiance to the highest sword of the empire. Oh ho! Sword Saint looked amusedly down at the knights. So this is how the roles are decided. Aha. So? Next was Heretic Questioner. Rank 3 of the stage. He tilted his head, and exclaimed with an aha. He seemed to have understood the situation now. I see. I understand now. It's similar to the Mafia game. Other than us, the other hunters still looked confused. The witch narrowed her yes. I have no idea what you people are saying. Don't worry. I'll tell you right away. The Heretic Questioner raised his hands. Words started to be written on the ground. He had used aura to carve letters in the marble. Look, everyone. Hunters crowded around to look at the ground. Goddess of Protection. Summary: the goddess who protects the Ejim Empire is touched at your dedication. The goddess has decided to appoint you to an important position. The hunters started to murmur amongst themselves. What? The 99th floor? Legit. They didn't have much of a reaction when they read the goddess's reward. But their eyes changed remarkably at the Devil King's reward. The witch's gaze especially turned darker. This. Yup. It's similar to the Mafia game. For convenience's sake, I'll call those who chose the goddess's reward Warrior S and those who choose the other option, Betrayer S. He smiled warmly. But there's a big difference. The betrayer is at more of a disadvantage than a mafia. Because there are 9 warriors, but only 1 betrayer. And we have the vice guild master of the civil militia. The heretic questioner pointed at the crusader. The crusader was looking at the marble floor with an apathetic face. Think of it. The vice guild master has a lie detection skill. Compared to the mafia game, she's like the police. So even if someone chooses the Devil King's reward, it's okay. Because the betrayer will be reported right away. You're right. Crusader slowly lifted her head. If you believe me. Anyways, this game is advantageous to the warriors. Hunter Kim Gongja. Giving up the reward was an extreme solution. Heretic questioner fixed his hat. You didn't accept any reward even though you defeated the 11th floor as rank 1. It's a very hard thing for me to imagine. With respect towards your decision, I'll choose the Supreme General of Ejim Empire. Creak. The reception door opened again. General NPCs entered with their flowing red capes. The generals stood in front of the heretic questioner and saluted. Allegiance towards the highest flag of the empire. Amazing. I leave it in your hands as well. The general NPCs lined up behind the heretic questioner. This was the deciding factor. TSK. I hate using my head. So you're saying it's better to choose a reward, right? Then I'll choose the head bodyguard of Ejim Empire. Venomous snake. Then me, the director of foreign affairs of Ejim Empire. It looks the most normal. Crusader. I'll choose the chancellor. Please, don't choose the reward of the Devil King. It'll disappear if no one chooses it. That's the most wise decision. Everyone be careful. The witch. Don't worry. Well, of course it's Director of Financial Affairs. The Count. The rest of the hunters had chosen their rewards. The reception room was filled with NPCs. The amount of knightages behind Sword Saint increased, and behind the witch, there were countless emissaries. Wow. Only one place in the reception place was empty. Behind me. You were really the only person not to get a reward. Are you going to be okay, zombie? I know you're throwing this regression away, but isn't this too bad? It's fine. I was sure. It might have been my instinct as a hunter. This is the answer. When you had to attack the target. When you had to step back. The calculation of the rewards is finished. Felt that this was the time to step back. The highest rankers have completed their choices. Kim Gongja, Sword Saint, Heretic Questioner, Venomous Snake, Crusader, Witch, Count. A voice rang in the reception room. The hunters quietly exchanged glances when their names were announced. Disclaimer of the reward, 1 person. Everyone turned to look at me. Of them, I was the only person to announce that I gave up the reward. The hunters made expressions like they couldn't believe I did that. Receivers of the goddess's reward, 8 people. And soon, their faces hardened. Receiver of the Devil King's reward, 1 person. The hunters all looked at each other. Total 10 people. All the highest rankers have finished making their decisions. Letting everyone know again. There was silence. Disclaimer of the reward, 1 person. Receivers of the goddess's reward, 8 people. Receiver of the Devil King's reward, 1 person. All the highest rankers have finished making their decisions. It was a long silence. May luck be with everyone. Crunch. The first sound to break the silence was someone clacking their teeth together. You foolish. The guild master of the Black Dragon, and rank 2. It was the witch. I said not to pick the Devil King's reward. But you still, stupid. A murderous aura swirled around the witch. Her face wasn't emotionless like it always was. Hate. Fury. She looked around, face crumpled in anger. Well. I guess words wouldn't work on a stupid fool. Fine. I'll make a proclamation as the master of Black Dragon here. I don't know who dared to betray us, but I'll present to them the most painful death. Surprising. Heretic questioner stroked his chin. This is a game that's way disadvantageous to the betrayer. But you still chose it, as the Black Dragon Master said, it's a foolish choice. Well, it's definitely human-like to make such a foolish decision. Fuck. The venomous snake scratched the back of his head. I know. This atmosphere. It's like when we first challenged the tower, my back and my neck feel fucking cold. Some people are gonna die today. I know, right? It's like when the 5 large clans were the 10 large clans. The count opened her fan. She had a lazy tone. But her eyes behind her fan were as sharp as a beast's. A lot of people died then. And killed a lot too. Isn't that right? Shut up. Everyone be quiet. It's not the time to think about the old times right now. The witch's face was twisted. Crusader. Question everyone here with lie detection. Don't leave anyone out. If someone doesn't answer you or lies, I'll kill them right on the spot. Everyone knew she wasn't just saying that. She emanated a murderous aura, and it rode her on coattails like aura. It was a black color. It was the color that cursed everything in the world. I was planning on doing that even if you didn't say it. Crusader quietly nodded her chin. First, I'll reveal that I'm not the betrayer before I question everyone. And she turned her feet. The first person she stood in front of was none other than me. Hunter Kim Gongja. Yes. You're not on the suspects because you gave up the reward. You probably don't even need to be tested. But I'll still ask. Did you choose the reward of the Devil King? No. The reception room was dead silent. Every hunter was watching us. After a few seconds of silence, the Crusader nodded her head. It's the truth. Sighs of relief could be heard from everywhere. The Crusader didn't stop and headed straight for the next person. Click, clack. Because the ground of the reception room was made of marble, every footstep rang out. We followed her feet with our eyes. Sword Saint. Speak. Did you choose the reward of the Devil King? Sword Saint crossed his arms. I swear on my honor. It's definitely not me. It's the truth. Click, clack. Heretic questioner. Yes. Please ask whatever you need to. Are you the person who chose the Devil King's reward? Sorry. In the midst of all the silence, Heretic questioner laughed. The sound of laughter echoed on the marble and slid over the armor of the knights and the generals. But it's not me. I don't want to die by the Black Dragon Master yet. It's the truth. Click, clack. Venomous snake. Did you choose the reward of the Devil King? Fuck. It's not me. It's the truth. Click, clack. Count. Did you choose the Devil King's reward? It's not me either. It's the truth. Click, clack. The atmosphere of the room turned downhill. When I was revealed not to be the betrayer, there were sighs of relief. But one by one, as everyone's truth was declared, the reception room was filled with silence and not relief. Like how sleep crept up. The silence crept up to our chins. The crusader and the witch looked at each other. Every other hunter except for the witch had been questioned. This was the last. In front of the leader of the most powerful guild in the tower, and the hunter second only to Sword Saint, the crusader took a deep breath. Black Dragon. Yes. Did you choose the reward of the Devil King? There was silence. No, it's not me. The silence was continued. The crusader slowly opened her mouth. It's the truth. And for the last time, silence descended on us. No. We descended on the silence. Wait, what? The venomous snake looked around. Who is it then? Sword Saint looked at the witch. The witch looked at the heretic questioner. The heretic questioner looked at the count, and the count looked at venomous snake. The venomous snake looked at the crusader like he was hanging on to her, and the crusader silently looked at me. Everyone looked at each other. Why is everyone saying they're not it? But no one answered. Fuck. Who betrayed us? No one. No one answered. Amidst the silence, a voice that wasn't ours rang out. The goddess of protection sighs at the foolishness of the warriors. The Devil King of Fall Rain laughs amusedly. It probably wasn't a voice that only I heard. Everyone's face darkened. And the crusader spoke with much difficulty in that silence. Calm down. No one opened their mouths even though she said to calm down. How were they supposed to speak? They looked like they were all seriously in thought. Don't be taken aback. Yes. Maybe the betrayer has the skill to hide their lies. And there might be someone with a split personality. Everyone has their secret weapon, right? So it's not impossible. Or. Sword Saint spoke up. He was looking at the crusader coldly. Or, you might be the dirty betrayer. The reception room became silent. Gazes sharper than knives were exchanged. Just now, the Sword Saint and guild masters had been about to fight. The heat and sweat of that hadn't cooled down, but it was beginning to waver again. The witch narrowed her eyes. Are you doubting us right now? Yes. Sword Saint admitted it directly. Even if Miss Crusader isn't the betrayer, she could have lied to us. You were all close as the controllers of the 5 large guilds since a long time ago. A crow hides with other crows. Aren't you protecting each other? Sigh, you're really. Of course. The crusader shouted out frantically. Sword Saint and the witch stopped arguing to look at her. She tried to speak calmly. Of course, logically speaking, it could be me. Yes. I could be the betrayer. But we all have to keep our cool. It's all right. We've faced many dangers before. Isn't that right? So if we just trust ourselves we can. Someone laughed. You're quite innocent. No, naive. It was the heretic questioner. Trust. Trust. It's beautiful. But we need time to trust each other. Us 5 large guilds have spent 10 years working together. But that also means. Heretic questioner adjusted his cap. And he shook off his clothes. It's hard to trust those other than us 5 guilds. And it would be inefficient to take 10 years to stack up trust with everyone. Yes, it's a waste of time. Wait. The crusader's face was frantic as well. I couldn't feel her relaxedness back when she asked me if a girl who graduated with a music degree was charming. This isn't the time to talk about efficiency. Heretic questioner. Please. Holy technique. The heretic questioner gathered his hands. Divine body. White light surrounded his hands. Venomous snake. You take care of the 10th. The light spread around. I'll kill the 8th and 9th. Heretic questioner. You can't. Holy technique, divine transmission. The heretic questioner and venomous snake disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the heretic questioner was holding someone's back. It was the hunter who finished as 8th. The hunter instinctively looked back. It was an extra who had quietly been standing to the back, surrounded by the guild masters. No, saying he was an extra seemed too mean. Since he was standing here with his contribution in the last stage. He was a much more powerful hunter than the old me. But his future didn't last for too long. Sorry. Heretic questioner smiled brightly. In his weaponless bare hand, there was pure white aura. Swoosh. Blood soared up. The hunter's body tilted. The hunter that wasn't bound to any guild, had the immense power of Sword Saint, or had an alliance with the guilds like me. The hunter that had climbed to where he was with his own power, died just like that. Simply. A warrior has died. He is not the servant of the Devil King. Voices rang in my head again. The goddess of protection thinks it's a shame. The Devil King of Fall Rain laughs snidely. It was a murder that had happened in the blink of an eye. Eek. A hunter that had finished 10th screamed. But the hunter's scream didn't last for too long. Crunch. The hunter's body fell to the ground, halved, by the venomous snake who was transmitted by the heretic questioner. A warrior has died. He is not the servant of the Devil King. Blood flowed on the marble floor. The goddess of protection shuts her mouth. The Devil King of Fall Rain explodes in laughter. Cashing. From somewhere, the sound of a sword being unsheathed rang out. It was the Sword Saint. You bastards are finally showing your real selves. The old man's face was crumpled in anger. Disgusting. You're not the slightest bit different as before. Stop this instant. If you don't stop, I'll dash. Holy technique, divine transmission. With a flashing light, the heretic questioner disappeared. The hunter who was 9th ran away as soon as they saw the 8th and 10th hunter die. But the moment he tried to leave, the heretic questioner appeared right in front of his nose. The hunter stretched his hand out. Wait dash. Yes. The heretic questioner smiled from ear to ear. Sorry. The hunter's head exploded. The hunter fell over with one arm extended. Plop. The headless body lightly fell over. Blood and flesh that burst with the explosion was spread out everywhere. A warrior has died. They are not the servant of the Devil King. The goddess of protection is silent. The Devil King of Fall Rain is clapping his hands. The heretic questioner pulled out his handkerchief. His face was red with the blood of the hunters who died. He lazily wiped his face. With just 3 wipes, the handkerchief was soaked in blood. So it wasn't the 3. It was silent. This is tricky. I thought the betrayer would be along the 3. Then that means that betrayer is among us. Seems like the trust of 10 years will disappear in a moment. He threw the red handkerchief to the ground. It fell in a puddle of blood and floated like a paper sailboat. I said wait. The crusader's shoulders were shaking. I said to wait. I definitely said so, didn't I ask you to wait? I asked you to be calm, heretic questioner, and like the past. You're being strange. Vice Guild Master. I'm calm right now. The heretic questioner smiled. Like it wasn't enough, he pulled out a handkerchief with his right hand. I calmly came to the decision that the three were most likely to be the criminal. Although it was wrong. Let's be on the positive side and think that we got rid of the three most suspicious people. If the media saw, it would have been bad, but no one was filming so dash. It was that moment. The handkerchief flew in the air. The clean white handkerchief that hadn't wiped blood yet floated up. Before it fell, something that was heavier fell first. It was the right arm of the heretic questioner. It might have been a relief it was just that. If the venomous snake didn't stop the attack of the sword saint, it might have been his head. Fuck. The venomous snake cursed and stood in front of the sword saint. Hey, zealot. Let us know if you're going to kill someone beforehand. The heretic questioner looked down. The handkerchief landed a moment later. It quickly turned red. This is difficult now, not just tricky. I can't help without both hands. Sorry, everyone. I can't be of help anymore. Is that the problem now? The venomous snake looked like he was struggling against the sword saint's attacks. Someone, fucking, help me. I'm gonna die. Seriously. Kim Gongja. The crusader shouted. I'm leaving everything to you. You can even take my life. It was more of a scream. Only you didn't receive the reward. Others might be the betrayer, but only you're not. You 100% not the dot. So please, I'm asking this of you. Stop the sword saint. The sounds of swords clashing against each other filled the room. The witch and the count were helping venomous snake. Only the crusader was looking at me. I momentarily looked at the fight in front of me. Sword Emperor. What? Am I destined to be loved by psychopaths or something? I had expected something like this would happen. I thought they would raise their swords at each other if a betrayer came up. So I had given up the reward. But I didn't think it would become like this. I sighed. That's good. It's not a bad idea. Heretic questioner popped up between me and crusader. He was holding his arm to stop the bleeding. Surprisingly, his face didn't seem pained. In these cases, a lot of people only get in the way. So it's better to focus on the person who's not the betrayer. So you're saying? Yes. The heretic questioner smiled brightly. I'll give all judgment to you. I thought the criminal would be from the three, but nothing can be done about it anymore. I don't trust myself. Hunter Kim Gongja. I'll do what you say. Bei Hurayong muttered. Yes.
Yeah.
I think you're destined to be loved by psychos. Guys like this aren't common. There was only about one of them in my tower. I really didn't like this fate. I even got all authority from the Vice Guild Master and the Guild Master. You've been promoted. Wasn't this why you gave up the reward? I was impressed by you right now. I knew it would become a mess, but not like this. What should we do about those poor people? I guess I'll have to regress. I glanced at the crusader behind me. She was gripping her head. I have a question. Yes. Did she already know what I was going to ask? He was already like that. He was the heretic questioner. When we first entered the tower, it was pandemonium. Everyone believed in different religions, and they split and made up again. Then, the heretic questioner appeared and killed them all. She sighed again. He completely killed everyone who fought because of religion. That's the only way he knows. Wow. I thought he had peacefully settled things with everyone, because that's what the media said. But to think such a massacre was behind all of it. Save me. The venomous snake screamed a bit over where I was. It felt like the octave increased with every minute. Dying. Foo, CK. I'm really dying. The Chenmu master is going to die, you bastards. The heretic questioner fixed his cap with his left hand. I'm sorry for making this mess. Kim Gongja Hunter. Can't you please stop the sword saint with the condition of my authority? Sigh. You, never mind. I shook my head. Let's talk about you later. Very deeply. But I'll take care of this right now because I think venomous snake will really die right now. Yes. Thank you. Well. It's nice to be able to control 10,000 temple and the civil militia if only for a bit. I convinced myself. There was an intense fight going on. To join it would be suicide. But I knew the magic word to stop the sword saint. Sword Saint Nim. There was no reply. Sword Saint Nim. Since you already bowed your head to me once again, please listen to me. Let's stop fighting and talk. There was still no reaction. There was no other choice. I took a deep breath and shouted. I'll ask your granddaughter out. Pause. If your granddaughter enters the tower. Yes, I'll meet her once. I don't know if we'll go out, but since I might be your grandson-in-law, please listen to me. He quietly looked at me. I'm not forgiving them. Yes. I'm not stopping because of what you said. I just thought that it might be better to find the betrayer and kill them after. Right? Why are you asking me? Was what I stopped myself from asking, and I nodded my head instead. Yes, you're right. You can kill them after. The sword saint pulled his sword back. Opposite of his, the venomous snake was panting hard. Everyone. Please calm down. I spoke looking at the hunters. I don't know who's the betrayer. We might not find out. But, that's another problem. We can defeat the problem even without finding them. How? The crusader asked. The fact that they accepted the reward means they can stab us in the back any moment. Look at this. I pointed at the marble ground. What the heretic questioner had engraved was still on there. It says the Devil King's core is on the 20th floor. I looked at each of them one by one. Don't focus on finding the betrayer, it's a trap. Don't fall for it. The betrayer might be sacred out of their wits right now, and they might have been forcefully picked by the system. Who knows? Let's get rid of the Devil King first. It became silent. If we get rid of the Devil King, his reward will disappear as well. It's simple. No matter what kind of ridiculous TST the tower offers, the solution is simple. Voices rang in my head. The goddess's eyes are shining. The Devil King clicks his tongue. I put emphasis on my words. Let's climb the tower. This was my answer. And let's destroy the Devil King's core on the 20th floor. This wasn't my answer only towards the hunters, but to the tower. And there was a reply to my answer. The quest of the 12th floor is being given. The 12th floor is being given. As soon as the voice could be heard, something poured on the window. Drip. Drip. It was rain. Rain slid down the fancy window in the reception room. For a moment, we turned out gazes to look outside. It wasn't because we were surprised by the sound. There was something else that made us surprised. Nightmare. The rain of nightmare is pouring down again. The color of the rain. It was as red as blood. No, it might have been actual blood. The NPCs who were with us started to hold their heads and groan. Goddess, please don't abandon us. What/? Why are they suddenly being like this? The exhausted venomous snake looked around him. It's the Devil King. The NPCs wearing armor muttered. They were crouched down on the ground with trembling shoulders. Like the trembling was infectious, groans started to come from everywhere. It's the end of the Empire now. The Devil King is coming. Your Majesty, where is our Emperor? All of their faces were dark. Despair. Acceptance. Exhaustion. Their faces were no different than actual humans. The venomous snake gulped. They're funny. Hey. This is all acting, right? What happened now? The quest has begun. I spoke quietly. We won't fight if we stay still. If there's arguments between us, they'll have no choice but to attack us. Attack? Who? Who do you think? I looked outside the window. The being that caused these arguments between. Laughter flowed in my head. The Devil King of Fall Rain is agreeing with you. The rain poured down harder. The sound that was like someone knocking instantly became even more quiet. Tens of red drops covered the window. I approached the window. I could see outside from here. Because the rain was too bad, the entire window was red. I broke the window with my sheath. Red rain poured into the reception room. I saw clearly down what was happening outside. The palace. The city beyond the palace. The Great Wall beyond the city. The Devil King of Fall Rain is manifesting. It was beyond the city walls. Pitiful things. It whispered quietly. Yes. It was a whisper. Just a whisper climbed over the walls, the city, and flowed into the reception room through the broken window. Did you think humans summoned from another world would be your shield? Did you think they would be your heroes? The rain endlessly poured. Come at me. Come at me as much as you want. Summon as many as you want. Call for thousands of warriors and knights. It's pitiful you can't realize that they're only humans like you. The voice rang through the pouring rain. It rang in the walls. It rang in the palace's walls. It rang in the reception room's wall. It laughed. It was a loud laughter. The laughter echoed and echoed, ringing our ears. Ack! The NPCs bent down further. They gripped their heads like they were in pain. We were better off than them. It was our first time hearing the laughter. It was bearable. If we had to listen to that voice for over a year, the story would change. Things who don't see humans as humans. It was then. On the map that only I could see, red spots suddenly started to appear on the map. 1, 2, 3. The red dots that were slowly appearing grew exponentially. Hundreds. Thousands. 10,000s. Soon, the entire horizon turned into red. Be swallowed by your evil. It hailed. The sky and the earth suddenly became pale, and the things between it showed themselves. It was the monsters that were the red dots. The hunters shut their mouths. It was a monster army incomparable to the one on the 11th stage. A colossal army was heading towards us. Krrrr. Keek, kek. The monsters cried out. They bared their teeth. They twisted their necks. Rain poured down the goblins' twisted faces. The blood rain was probably holy water for them. They looked at the sky like they were looking towards a god, and they saluted the red rain. I said so. I gripped my sword. It's not the time for us to fight. And letters appeared in front of me. Defense of the Empire's city. Difficulty, ASSS. Mission goal, warriors. You have decided to fight bravely against the Devil King. The Devil King has joined the war himself after sensing danger. He can summon monster armies wherever. He is aiming for the heart of the Aegean Empire, the imperial city, Hakamenia. Fortunately, the Devil King is weakened from manifesting here. Stop the Devil King. However, loss in the battle means the 13th floor will not be opened. It was silent for a moment. Became weak? The venomous snake murmured. That? What he said reflected what everyone was thinking. This is unfair. How are we supposed to clear it? This isn't a quest that we can solve. Even if up to the 10th floor was only a tutorial, this is too different. Things like this. That's enough. Let's be calm. I turned to look at the reception room. There were the hunters. Behind them, the NPCs were in despair. We can do it. The tower doesn't give quests that can't be cleared. But, how do we defeat those many monsters? So that's why I'm telling you to be calm. I pointed at the NPCs. We're not just hunters here. Did you forget? Venomous snake. You're the head bodyguard. You have to lead them. We can't break through this stage with just hunters.
Yeah.
Convince the NPCs, raise them up to fight. Led them. Led them into war like they're real people. That was how the 11th floor was subjugated as well. We can't fight each other here. Sword Saint Nim. You're the Grand Master of Knights. A head bodyguard and Grand Master fight? How can we defend against outer forces? Did you think it was beneficial to get the reward? It is. But you have responsibility as well. We receive the roles, and it's time to role play. I turned my head towards the Crusader. She was looking at me with a serious face. Director of Foreign Affairs. This is the reception room, but the Emperor isn't in sight. He's probably somewhere in the palace. Please search for the Emperor with the NPCs. If the leader isn't here, the NPCs won't follow us. The Crusader nodded. Understood. Supreme General. I looked at the heretic questioner. Even though he lost an arm, he was still smiling brightly. Rather, he was looking at me like he was amused. Yes. That's me. I hate hunters like you. Really. I felt that I needed to see the end of things with you after seeing what you did. But, you can't forget that you're the Supreme General now. I'm starting to like you more and more. Since you gave me authority, please shut up and listen to me. I looked at the map and spoke. There wasn't a lot of time. The red wave was getting closer. There's probably a lot of soldiers at the city walls. Monsters are getting closer to them like hail, but there's no way they're feeling normal. Please go to the city walls yourself and assure the soldiers. It's noblesse oblige. Please defend the city walls no matter what. If they fall, this stage is over. Don't worry. Heretic questioner smiled. I've never broken a promise since I was born. I'll guard it with my life. Okay. I looked around me. Then I'll be off first. It was time for war. As soon as I left the palace, the remaining hunters were being summoned. Whoa. Where's this? Good thing it's not a messy port. The hunters looked around like they were tourists. Is this holy rain? The color is. Go under the roof. Quickly. Hey. It says to choose a role as my reward. Role? What's that? The hunters didn't understand the situation. Was it because they arrived later than us? Even the highest rankers suspected and fought each other. 3 people had died just because they were doubted. How bad would it be for the remaining hunters? Not much could be expected from the hunters who just entered the stage. There's no time to convince the players. Because the Devil King's army was coming even now. We need to stop the attack with NPCs first. I ignored the hunters and ran down the street. It became even more crowded. But thankfully, I had to mini-map with me. I took the fastest path to the city walls. Kim Gongja. It was when I left the palace. Someone appeared next to me. Witch. Call me Black Dragon Master. I don't like my nickname that much. Witch. The rank 2 hunter and I were running together. Did she have aura on her feet? She ran the streets like she was sliding on it. Why did you suddenly come here? It's my skill. I can teleport to where I can see. It was a damn cheat skill. Hey. Zombie. You should die by this guy once. Teleportation transference is lit. I don't know about anyone else, but if it's by this guy, I'll acknowledge it. Quickly die. I ignored what Bei Hurayong said and asked. Then what are you doing here, not at the city walls? I came to get you. Obviously. She answered emotionlessly. We were running, but she didn't look tired at all. I saw on the 11th floor. You have a sword that works on NPCs, right? I don't know what kind of sword it is, but it can raise their morale. What they need isn't me, but you. She looked at me. Agree. What? Agree that you'll teleport with me. If not, I can't teleport you. That's the limit of my skill. I was a bit taken aback. Wait. Teleportation transference has gotta be at least an S-class skill. Is it okay for you to reveal its limits like this? It's your secret weapon. Funny. She wiped her forehead. Above us, the red rain was endlessly pouring. Hair was stuck on her white forehead because of the rain. Her black eyes looked at me. Like you said, I'm the chancellor of this empire. Isn't it natural for a chancellor to reveal their secret weapon? There's no time. It doesn't matter how you do it, so agree quickly. I nodded my head. I agree to the use of the Black Dragon Master's skill. It was an instant. The witch held my right hand. Grip. The wet hand covered mine. Her fingers intertwined with my fingers so as to not slip from the rain. There's another limit. The witch whispered while holding my hand. Transference. In the blink of an eye, we were on top of the city walls. Like I expected, it was a mess. Monsters were coming, but the soldiers weren't fighting back. No, they couldn't. They were hiding behind the walls or praying to their god. It's the end. God. Please pity us, Anne. Sob, sob. NPCs were no different than people who were alive. Even if they were illusions, the fear they felt was real. Black Dragon Master. Take you for bringing me here. From now. Wait. The witch sighed. I can't just leave like this after showing my junior a pathetic side of me. Sorry? I didn't become the guild master for nothing. She took a deep breath and opened her mouth. Soldiers of the Ejim Empire. Black aura exuded from her body. The black was a bit more dark than the red. Rise. What are you doing here? Are you thinking the walls made of stone will protect you? Don't you know what's protecting the empire isn't that pile of stones, but you all? The soldiers crouched behind the wall lifted their heads. Chancellor. It's the Chancellor. To them, the witch was a chancellor. Someone recognized the Chancellor, and what he said quickly spread like the rain that was pouring. The witch nodded her head. Rise. The witch looked mad. She looked angrily down at the wall, and the soldiers followed her gaze. Rise, soldiers of the Empire. The last wall of Ejim. Grab your shield. Lift your swords. Until you aren't able to. Rise for the Empire, and for you. The witch grabbed my hand. The goddess is protecting us. She raised my right hand. I realized what I had to do. Cashing. The holy sword came out from its sheath. I lifted the sword up high. It shined down to the city walls on the soldiers' faces. The sword of the beginning. It's the holy sword. The holy sword that the goddess has proved. And the goddess of protection expresses gratitude at your choice. The goddess of protection musters out the last of her power. There was light. No one knew. Just where these things came from. Pitiful things. Only, when it appeared, it rained red rain. Things that don't see humans as humans. Blood flowed where the rain was. You kill humans after being born as humans. Do you say that that's the fate of humans? I think that's the accomplishments of a wild beast. What is the reason why I shouldn't kill beasts? Reign of nightmare. I saw the trauma of the general when I was killed by the NPC general on the 11th floor. In the nightmare, the general was screaming. Not only the general, but civilians. Turn back. Rain, again. Run away to where the rain doesn't pour. The small countries in the rural lands fell first. After that, empires started to fall. Other small countries and empires fell soundlessly. Every time a land collapsed, the safety zone of humans decreased. The history of humans became shorter when a king disappeared. Only the rain poured. Where it doesn't rain. The rain poured. It's the end. The finish. The rain poured. Goddess, please don't abandon us. And the rain poured. Eventually, there was only a small strip of land for humans, and only a piece of human history left. The historians used their pens preciously. They accepted that they would write and humans went extinct. Only the empire was left on the continent. Pitiful things. The owner of the nightmares. The king of all demonic creatures. And the last historians gave it a name. Be swallowed up in your evil. Devil King. 2. The rain poured. Light shined. It rained on the ground, and light soared up to the sky. Whoa! Where the light shined, the blood rain stopped coming down. The soldiers looked up at the sky with bloodied faces. The rain had stopped. Goddess. That was it. The blood had stopped pouring. And it wasn't like it had completely stopped. It only stopped where the holy sword shined. It was a light rest. A small light. The goddess. The god is protecting the empire. However, there were times when small things excited people. It happened to people who only had small things left. This land was the only safety zone for the people of the empire. It was the last page of history books. The citizens of the kingdom knew, the generals knew, and the directors of security and education knew. That was why there hadn't been any NPCs in the reception room. Because the chancellor had quit politics. Because the supreme general had quit the army. Because the bodyguards didn't guard the emperor anymore. Because the knightages didn't do the duty of knights. It was an empire that everyone had abandoned. That was why the tower had chosen the empire as its stage. Like an estate of the 10th floor with children that everyone had abandoned. Rise! The Witch of Black Dragon shouted. The soldiers all stood up. There were some who gripped the wall to stand up. There were some who barely stood supporting themselves with their spears. There were some who raised themselves with the help of their comrades. Rise! The witch ordered them for the last time. Yes, they would be the walls of the city. They all echoed her command like they were enchanted. Rise! The chancellor is here. With us. The sword of our ancestors is protecting us. And so the city walls became the city walls, spears became spears, and soldiers became soldiers. Rise, quickly rise. What are you doing in front of the chancellor? The higher-ups smacked the backs of the soldiers. The soldiers all came to attention. They fixed their helmets. Red rain poured on their heads. But the rain didn't cover their eyes anymore. They looked forward. Sigh. The witch quietly sighed. The black aura from her body slowly faded away. Did she go overboard? There weren't just drops of blood rain on her forehead, but also sweat. What? Is it your first time seeing an Ukrainina give a speech? In our country, Reds do it. The witch lifted a corner of her mouth. She realized too late that she was smiling. I don't like communists, but they're good at speeches. There were things I could learn. Pardon? Never mind. The witch's face became expressionless again. Huh? I didn't understand what the Black Dragon Master just said. Wait. Bei-Hu Ryong inserted himself in the conversation. I think she's just embarrassed that her dad joke didn't work. That was a joke? I don't know. Seeing the atmosphere, it seems like it. But if you react like how you did, never mind. Zombie. Don't plan on getting along with any higher-ups in an organization. Just be a hunter like you are. Okay? I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't know, but one thing was clear. Kim Gongja. What are you going to do from now? The situation had somewhat gotten better with her speech. We'll have to hold up at the city walls. Right. I narrowed my eyes at the red horizon. Countless monsters were around the Devil King. Even if the witch's teleportation skill took me there wasn't any guarantee I would be killed by the Devil King. First, there needed to be a 1:1 confrontation with the Devil King. We need to bring hunters while the NPCs hold up. Then we won't fall back on fighting. If the Devil King tries to put more monsters in by forcing them in the city walls. The city walls? Teleport the Devil King in front of me. The witch openly peered at my face. Commando. Yes. Are you planning on dying? What she said was reasonable. I was still an E-class hunter. The continent wouldn't have fallen if the Devil King was able to be defeated by an E-class hunter. I was at a huge disadvantage. But death didn't mean loss to me. I plan on winning. Death was a step to winning for me. I have a secret weapon too. Trust me. The witch sighed. Okay. Since all hunters have a secret, I hope your sword will be as sharp enough to pierce that boss monster. That's what I was planning on. You're playing a fun game, goddess. It was then. Your last resistance is pitiful. Light. What can light do for those who don't know if they have a future? Even you're pitiful now. The Devil King's voice split the battlefield. Then show me light as well. There was a large sound. The witch and I didn't let our guards down. We were watching the Devil King's movements, so we knew the identity of the sound. It was a sword. Slowly. The Devil King slowly pulled out his sword on the horizon. Time seemed to slow down. The sword of the Devil King seemed to be on a different time than us. So it seemed like he was trying to cut time. But the Devil King cut time. He cut the sky. The trajectory of the sword was red. It precisely aimed for the walls, and pierced it. A storm rised. The witch and I subconsciously closed our eyes. While we closed our eyes, dust covered us, and we could hear screams. It was the screams of the soldiers. I heard something break. And a moment later. Gasp, cough. When the dust settled, we looked towards where the screams were coming from. It was painful because the dust entered our eyes, but the shock was greater than the pain. The witch swallowed. Is he really weaker? The walls of the empire were broken. The Devil King whimpered. Poor things. Red rain poured from the dusty sky. Laughter echoed from where the Devil King was. Is this really still your empire? 3. It wasn't just the broken city walls. The red trajectory of the sword crushed streets and buildings. Even the palace was in its path. Boom! One warrior has died. A voice rang from nearby. They are not the Devil King's servant. A voice that announced death. The witch and I looked at each other. It was where the reception room was. The witch spoke first. Heretic questioner, sword saint, and venomous snake aren't in the reception room, since they're bringing the soldiers here. Crusaders looking for the emperor on your orders. Then, the person that's left it. Count. Dying first. The count wasn't the betrayer. Rude. The witch quietly murmured. That was it. She didn't say anything else and just shook her head. I wondered if it was her way of saying farewell. Black Dragon Master. If the count really passed away then with the outside world. Right now. The witch spoke in a low voice. Right now, let's focus on what's in front of us. The second strongest hunter in the tower was glaring at the prey in the horizon. Even the Devil King won't be able to continue attacking like that. Kim Gongja. Help protect the broken city walls with me. The red spots on the map changed. The monster army was approaching us like a wave before. But now, the red spots were pointy. Were they trying to exhaust us? Yes, ma'am. The points were heading towards the city walls. It was the crack where the red trajectory had split. I was thinking the same thing. The witch grabbed my hand. She nodded her head. Teleportation. We moved towards the broken city walls. KRRRK. Keek, koo. Kakeek. Goo. The monsters were right in front of us. Arrow flew. They were from the soldiers above the city walls. It wasn't enough to stop the red wave. Goblin, orc, skeletons, and other monsters ran at us. There was only about 2 minutes before the first wave arrived. Zombie. I heard Bei Hurayong's voice. Even a minute is okay. No, 30 seconds. Tens, hundreds, of monsters were flying through the clouds. And 10 times that number was rumbling the ground towards us. Endure it yourself. There weren't any allies stopping me. To win this battle, you must become hope to these people. So I was standing at the very front alone. Endure it by yourself. Even 30 seconds is okay. It's important that you show you can stop those monsters by yourself. You don't call a human who lived for 30 years a hero. The 30 seconds that everyone needs. The human that provides those 30 seconds is the hero. I dropped my backpack on the ground. Be a hero. Bei Hurayong pulled out a glass bottle. It was what the future Lord of Alchemy Castle made. It was the glass bottle with the elixir. I'll help you. 1 gulp. 2 gulps. 3 gulps. I gulped down the elixir. I promised I would teach you sword techniques before the 20th floor, right? It's a bit early, but here's some lessons. Thump. My heart beat faster. Take a step back. My heart beat faster. Look ahead. I did. There's 2 goblins in front. They can't see that well because of the dust. Quickly swing your sword before them. My heart beat even faster. Each second felt slower. The holy sword shines, but it can take away sight as well. Take your opponent's eyes with your sword, and get time from your opponent. And so a second for me was faster than my heart. They're here. My sword would be a second faster than me. Let's go. Partner. Bei Hurayong stood next to me. It's time to be a hero. I swung my sword. Blood flowed everywhere. Ki-yi. The goblin screamed. In my second, the scream didn't stop. Dash 1 down. Blood scattered in the air. It was the same color as the rain. I gripped my sword even tighter. And swung it. Ki-ya. 2. Before the first goblin tied, I cut the second goblin. It was an instant. Blood flowed from my right and left. The monsters shouted without even being able to see my sword. I killed one, and another. Ay. Ay. Kai-I-thi-I. Before a monster could finish screaming, another monster screamed. The screams around me didn't end. The orchestra of my sword. I directed them with my conducting stick. -1 second has passed. Bei Hurayong spoke. Don't cut off your sword when you swing. Gongja. Don't divide each attack, and connect them. I swung my sword. Cut from the top to bottom. Think. It's no different from music. When a tone pitches down, it can be pulled back up. Screams rang out. Connect. If your sword is low, bring it back up again. That's how your sword can continue to connect. Another second passed. A sword is a fight of time. If it's swung once, it's over. But a more skilled person can control 5 seconds. Enemies let out blood. And I let out my breath. Don't lose time. Before the blood poured. And my breath faded. Don't waste anything. Just because you cut your opponent, it's not over. You have to know where to cut next. Don't throw away a second. Live it. A blade swung between my breathing and the blood of my enemy. A sword user lives by their sword. I swung my sword. Do you think it's easy to live a second? Do you really want to leave? I swung my sword. People aren't alive when they spend time. Gongja. You are a sword user. So you need to live by your sword. I swung my sword again. Burn it up. A goblin scratched me and blood spilled from my arm.
Ah.
I felt dizzy. Even in the pain, I swung my sword and looked forward. Ki. KRRR. Quo. Countless monsters. Monsters were pouring from the dust cloud. Countless enemies, and countless evil. They were all trying to kill me. Minus 10 seconds now. This was 10 seconds. It had only been 10 seconds. Burn more, Gongja. Don't spill your life, and burn it up. I tightened my grasp on the sword. It's time to show who you are. I shouted loudly. In the cracks of the city walls, my shout rumbled. The soldiers on top flinched. The monsters coming from far away paused.
Yeah.
Fuck, this is it. Bei Hurayong giggled. Now you're not that much of a zombie now, huh? I ran forward. Guo. I attacked the foot of the goblin who stopped first. Before he could react, he was dead. The goblin's head flew up with its mouth open. I swung my sword. KRRR. And next was an orc standing Blanqui next to it. Before it could raise its club, I brought my sword down on it. Blood poured out like a fountain. I swung my sword. Just a bit more. Skeletons. Just a bit more. And more goblins. More. Countless orcs. More. Just a little bit more. At the immeasurable amount of monsters. Look. I swung my sword. Look at me. I was alive. I was alive when I swung my sword. KO. An ogre appeared from the red dust cloud. Once. Twice. Every time the monster moved, the wind moved around it. In the ogre's dust cloud, a goblin entered. Then, it died with the sounds of its bones crunching. Yes. That was right. They didn't have any camaraderie. Nor any pity and love for each other. So they were beasts. Disgusting beasts. R.O. The beast fiercely cried out. It bared its teeth to me. Come. And here, there was a hunter. There was a hunter chasing after a beast. I'll show you. Boom. The ogre took a step forward. The city walls started to crumble. Boom. The disgusting beast took another step forward. Every time it took a step forward, the ground shook. The city walls crashed down. The ogre shook the ground, heading this way. Root your feet in the ground. However. And look forward. What I had to do didn't change. Cut your enemy with the sword. I ran at the monster. Boom. The giant beast stepped forward. I aimed for that moment. When it lifted its club to hit me, I twisted my sword in front of it. White light. The light of the holy sword entered the eyes of the ogre. Goo goo. The ogre's body was already stumbling. It was hard for the ogre to change his direction. Why? When I was attacking the ogre, I was thinking of something. Why did you give an EX class skill to a bastard like that?
Yo. So. Ha!
Of the tower that gave him that rare skill. It didn't have to be a saint. Just someone that was a bit more normal. If it was given to someone like that, it would have been fine. But why? To that psychopath. The ogre's club flashed by my nose. It missed, because it was blinded by the light. Thankfully, there was a blind spot. Oh, so that was it?